All right, let's dive right in. Today we're peeling back the layers of one of the most brilliant and jam-packed opening chapters in all of literature, Chapter 1 of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. It sets the stage for, well, everything.
So, the whole novel kicks off with these words from our narrator, Nick Carraway. It's advice from his dad, and he presents it as his personal motto. Sounds pretty good, right? It makes him seem like this perfect, non-judgmental observer who's just going to give us the straight facts. But, is it really that simple?
And boom, there it is. That's the huge question Fitzgerald wants us to wrestle with from the very first page. He's basically throwing down a challenge, asking us, hey, you think you can trust this guy telling the story? To figure that out, we've got to see him in action.
Okay, so here's where the story really gets going. Our guy Nick, he's just moved to this area called West Egg on Long Island. It's kind of the new money place. And he drives across the bay to the super posh East Egg for dinner with his cousin, Daisy, and her husband, Tom Buchanan.
And almost immediately, we get introduced to Tom. Now, remember that whole don't criticize anyone thing Nick just told us about? Well, let's see how that holds up. Because the way Nick describes Tom is, well, it's pretty intense. He's this big former football player, super wealthy, and just oozes power. But pay close attention to the words Nick chooses.
Yeah, so much for reserving judgment. A cruel body? That's not exactly a neutral observation. He calls him arrogant, smug. Nick is hitting us with some seriously strong and seriously negative opinions right out of the gate. This is pure judgment.
And then he drops this word, supercilious. It's the perfect word to nail down Tom's whole vibe. It basically means you act like you're better than everybody else, looking down your nose at them. You can just feel the criticism dripping from that word.
So the vibe at this dinner party is already incredibly tense, mostly because of Tom. And then the phone rings, and it's not a social call. Another guest just casually mentions that it's Tom's mistress on the line, and in that one moment, the whole perfect, polished illusion of their marriage just shatters. We see the rot that's hiding right underneath the surface.
Okay, that dinner party was a lot. But now it's time to turn the spotlight away from Tom and Daisy for a second and point it right back at our narrator. What does the way he chose to tell us about that evening really tell us about him?
And this is where it all clicks into place. Look at this. On one side, you have what Nick says he is, tolerant, an observer, open-minded. But then look at what he does. He immediately judges Tom, analyzes Daisy's sincerity, and, get this, he even says he has unaffected scorn for Gatsby, the title character of the whole book.
So what this all adds up to is a really important idea. Nick is an unreliable narrator. Now, that doesn't mean he's a liar exactly. Think of it more like this. We're seeing the entire story through his personal filter. His feelings, his biases, his morals, they all color what he tells us. We're not getting the raw, objective truth, we're getting Nick's version of the truth. And that forces us to question everything.
I mean, this one sentence right here is the whole puzzle. How can you have scorn for everything a guy stands for, but then say he was the one who turned out all right? It's a massive contradiction. And it makes you realize the story isn't just about what happened. It's about why Nick feels the need to tell it to us this way.
Okay, so we've established we need to take Nick's opinions with a grain of salt. So let's look at something a little more concrete, the setting. Because in this book, where you live isn't just an address, it's your destiny. Fitzgerald gives us this absolutely brilliant metaphor. You've got these two pieces of land, East Egg and West Egg, sitting right next to each other. They're only separated by a little bit of water. But that small bay might as well be a giant ocean, because the social gap between them is enormous and impossible to cross. So here's the deal. East Egg, where Tom and Daisy live, is old money. It's inherited wealth, established families, a world you have to be born into. Then there's West Egg, where Nick and Gatsby live. That's new money. These are the people who earn their fortunes, often really quickly. They have all the cash, but they don't have the fancy family name or the social pedigree. And as we're about to see, you just can't buy your way into the old money club. So all these ideas, the shady narrator, the social divide, the yearning for more, it all comes together in this one single haunting image that ends the chapter. After that incredibly tense dinner, Nick gets home, and that's when he sees him for the very first time. The mysterious Jay Gatsby. But he's not at one of his legendary parties. He's just standing there, completely alone on his lawn, in the dark. And he's not just standing there, he's reaching.
He's stretching his arms out across that dark water toward East Egg. Nick sees that he's actually trembling. It's this moment of incredible, raw, private longing.
Nick's first instinct is to go over and introduce himself, but something stops him. He can tell he's interrupting something deeply personal. So instead, he just looks. He follows Gatsby's gaze across the bay to see what on earth could possibly inspire that kind of devotion. And what he sees is maybe the most iconic symbol in all of American literature. It's just a single green light. That's it. It's tiny, way off in the distance, at the end of a dock on East Egg. But that little light represents absolutely everything Gatsby wants but can't have. It's a symbol of wealth, of being accepted into that upper class. And most of all, as we'll soon learn, it's a symbol of Daisy. It's right there in his line of sight, but it's forever on the other side of the water, completely unreachable.
And that's the powerful, lingering question Fitzgerald leaves us with. Just think about that for a second. If the one thing you wanted more than anything else in the world was always right there, taunting you, but you could never, ever actually get to it, what would that do to you? That's the mystery of Jay Gatsby, and that's the engine that drives this entire unforgettable story.